to Souls on Tap. I'm Julianne Thon.
And I'm Jennifer Cross.
And I am Angie Bradley.
I'd like to welcome today's guest,
Mhm.
Angie Bradley, who is a Reiki Master. Welcome, Angie.
Very good, thank you.
As you guys out there can see, Jennifer and I are very excited to have Angie. She is a whole package of light. That's what she is. Just a beautiful human being and a great healer. Before we get into the healing properties
Yes,
of Reiki, could you give us an idea of what brought you to become a light worker?
I was born that way, to be quite honest with you. My grandmother lived off the land. She grew her own food, made her own clothing, and would believed everything had a spirit. She yelled at me. I was a tree climber because we had a farm. So I always got yelled at for climbing in the fruit tree. She'd be like, get off that spirit. And so she talked
Oh,
about things as if they had a spirit. And she would watch me
oh,
work with the animals and like talk to different like plants and talk to the bunny rabbits and watch how I reacted with people that were sick and putting my hands on them. And I guess I was doing that as a child, trying to heal people as a child. So it kind of continued going through my teenage years. I kind of suppressed it a little bit. You know what I mean? You want to be cool and with the cool kids and cheer and do all of those things. But as I got older, my palms would tingle. They would just start tingling. I would feel the energy in them. And I would try to work out and do different things to figure out why this was happening. So that's kind of what led me to start studying, energy healing and Reiki. And it started with reading Edgar Casey. Because when you try to use your own energy, you're going to deplete yourself, right?
mm-hmm.
So if you can learn the technique to tap in to the universal life source, then that energy is free flowing and you're like a vessel. So I'm just a vessel and it's flowing where it needs to go. And each session is different for each person.
What a great way of looking at it. As all the
Hmm.
healing that I've done throughout all these years, I understood the concept of universe and the vessel of energy that comes through
Yeah.
you. But I
Hmm.
never thought about if we are using our own independent energy, that
Yeah.
depletes us.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So it's a big thing, and even when you're pulling from the life source energy, you want to make sure that you're staying grounded because that's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of energy that you're
Mm-hmm.
moving for
Yeah.
yourself and other people.
Right.
So just being prepared when going into it before you even start using the energy, that you're grounded and that you're drinking plenty of water so that your body can sustain all of that energy and it can move the way it needs to go and you can be a good facilitator to to hold the healing sacred space for other people. So just really taking care of yourself first and foremost
Mm-hmm.
to to be a bringer of the light for other people. Yeah.
That's
Got to heal
beautiful.
Very
yourself
good.
to heal others. And it's a continual thing, right? Because the debris is always out there. I like to say, so what is it? It's Ray for universal, and then key is like the life source.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody calls it something different. So it's biofield in science. So we're always working with the biofield and it's like an energetic workout. So when you think about it like that and you think about your aura and the colors and the energy moving, it's that energy moving through. And I think in Sanskrit, it's something different. In Chinese, it's what? Chi,
It's chi. It's
chi,
QI and it's pronounced ch. So it's
chi,
chi.
chi. Yeah. And so like it's prana in a
Right?
different lineage. So everybody calls it something different. And I think there's maybe 20 to 25 different types of
Right.
Reiki energy healing for every different country and
Yeah.
all different peoples. So it's just about the life source energy and tapping into that.
I have to say that Reiki has really come far. For
Mm-hmm.
example, it was about a week or two ago, I decided to look it up so
Mm-hmm.
that I had even a better understanding of what it's like, because I figured it was very similar to what I do, which is acupressure.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked it up, and first place I went was to Wikipedia, which is not always the best place to go, but I
Right.
thought that might be the most thorough at first.
Mm-hmm.
It was so negative.
Right.
It's like that article was, whoever was writing it was scared to death they were going to get sued or something. It was like
Mm-hmm.
in no way has science ever been able to prove. typically physicians are not using it because they have not found blah, blah,
It's
blah.
funny because they use it in operating rooms right
They
now.
do.
I know Reiki practitioners that practice at the St. Mary's in Athens, and they get to actually step in there as nurses that are like level 2 practitioners and perform Reiki on the patient while they're getting surgery. And that's
See, there you go.
mind blowing how far we've come,
That
right?
is exactly to my point, is
And
that,
the recovery
and
is
thank
so quick,
goodness. Yeah.
so quick for these
Right.
clients
Mhm.
that are getting the Reiki
Yeah.
during the surgery.
Right.
Yes.
So if that's not science enough, that doctors are inviting this in now and seeing the benefits of it, which is something they would get sued for in the past. We've come so far. And I hope we continue to evolve in that direction so that people are more aware of it.
There's no
Yes.
doubt. No
Yeah.
doubt.
So how does Reiki differ from other forms of energy healing that you may
At
or
the
may not do?
at the end of the day, we're all bringing in the light for healing, right? So it's all the same principle. I don't like to say that one is better than the other. Something might work better for one person than another. We're all like a bouquet of flowers, right? So we all require different minerals. We all require different nutrients. So just learning your body and learning to listen to your higher self and knowing what works for you and what you need. But Reiki energy, when you tap into the life force energy, how can that be bad, right? Because your
Yeah.
higher self knows where the energy is needed, and you just continue to evolve and heal every time you have a session or every time you call on that life force energy for yourself, because you can do it for yourself too.
Yeah.
Just sitting outside and drawing on the light source or call it in the green energy from earth. Those are all forms of healing that you can do for yourself too. So just being
Before,
open.
before we get too far into this, for those out there that are not familiar with what Reiki is, can you explain that, please?
Yeah, it's basically you are calling on the life source energy and you're calling it in, like you're calling in the white light, but you're calling life source, which is whatever you believe that is to you. Um, and you're asking it for its highest good to go where it needs to go for your well being and your healing. And it will do so, right? Believing is receiving. And anytime you believe and you are in a state of acceptance to receive, then you're going to get that, right? And that's a beautiful thing. Sometimes we don't allow ourselves that gift because we tell ourselves that we're not worthy. So shifting your mindset, and Reiki helps you do that. So it helps you break a lot of those mental blockages. And I practice Holy Fire Reiki. So it's calling on
You
like the
said
Holy
holy
Fire,
fire?
Holy
Okay.
Fire. So it's calling on like the Holy Fire of Leviticus, right? And you're calling it down, the life source energy. And even in Egyptian healing, you're encasing in the light. So you encase the head and the feet in light before you even start the session. So it's the same
Mm.
thing. You're, using the holy fire and you're encasing the client in the light for their highest good and then calling in the life source energy. And yeah, so that's very healing. And I've got to where I kind of combine the two and I do it intuitively according to what someone needs because everybody needs something different. Back to the bouquet of flowers, right? So, and just understanding that
It's
before you
true.
go in.
And I think all three of us as light workers have realized that we end up with the individuals or the clients that need that type of healing that day.
Yes.
So I think we are pulled to the type of
Hmm.
healing that will help balance us
Yes.
the best for whatever we're going through.
Yes.
So
And calling on our archangels and our spiritual
mhm,
team,
mhm,
I call
mhm.
my collective all, but I also work with a female arcana. So like Holy Amethyst is one of my favorite, calling down the violet flame and swirling it through someone's energy field.
That's so important. I didn't think about that when I first started, for example, hypnosis.
Hmm.
But it
Yeah.
was after I'd been doing it for probably a half of a year that I realized, gosh, I used to talk to my master angels all the time, all the
Right.
time. I would bring in Archangel Raphael and of course Archangel Michael and just
Hmm.
whatever was necessary. And I started
Okay.
doing that and I saw a difference in my sessions.
Yeah.
Yes.
No
Yes.
doubt. No doubt.
No doubt. And even colors. like the
Colors.
color therapy. I've been incorporating a lot of that. It kind of goes hand in hand with the Edgar Casey energy healing too. A lot of the color therapy is infused in with musical notes and for the chakra cleansing and balancing and learning what color you resonate with because everybody has their different color, right? It's impactful for your health.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
And I know
what,
you,
go ahead.
I was going to say, I know you use tuning forks. Do you
I
use
do.
them during your sessions also?
I do. I do. I
Yeah.
collectively use a little bit of everything, whatever I feel that person needs. So it could be
Hmm.
light therapy, it could be water alchemy, it could be heart mind connection, it could be extra meditation, it could be flower therapy, because that's even a real thing. Like sometimes people need flower essence via
Like
essential
Bach.
oils. Yeah. So I use Young Living essential oils in my
Mhm.
sessions. And
Yes.
I also use the Ridgeway Biofield. So I'm a distributor for them. And it's a mat that you lay on that has the far infrared and the
Yeah.
amethyst and the tourmaline crystals.
Yeah.
And so it induces a fever to kill off anything in your body that shouldn't be there and help you heal from the
Mm,
inside out. hmm
mm.
I got invested in that whenever I lost my husband to pancreatic cancer, trying to find different ways to help people find relief, right? And reduce and shrink inflammation, to have pain management, to enjoy life,
And
because
heat has and provides its own energy as well. I
yes.
remember years ago, I was living in Phoenix and I used to get horrible sinus headaches. And
hmm
somebody told me once to get into a hot bathtub and to
Right.
keep putting hot. I wouldn't recommend this for everybody. Make sure that you check with your doctors first. But I would sit there with a thermometer and I would keep adding hot water until my body reached 102.
Yes.
And then I would sit there for a while. And then I
Uh-huh.
would just let the heat sort of dissipate little by little and become lukewarm. And then I would get out. And almost every time my headache was gone.
Gone. Yes.
Yeah.
I could take a nap 45 minutes on the biomat set it at 133. I get up feeling like a champion. I'm like ready to run some laps. Like, let's do this.
That's great.
Yeah, it's good. It's like a deep healing.
So you
Yeah.
also I'm fascinated by and intrigued by the Edgar Casey
I love him.
Egyptian healing. I know that today we were really going to focus more on Reiki, but I just have to ask
It's just a different form of Reiki. It's an Egyptian form of Reiki energy healing. And I love Isis energy.
Mhm,
And I feel like a lot of times I resonate with that energy.
right.
And so I use a lot of that Isis energy when I call in for the healing. That's what I'm tapping into is that feminine side because a lot of females that are my clients need an extra boost of feminine energy,
Mhm,
especially if they're single moms
mhm,
or if they're young and they're stepping into their womanhood, and learning how to have that duality, right?
mhm,
Not being too masculine, but also embracing their feminine side as well. Because
mhm.
sometimes when you're a powerful female, you get too tapped into the masculine. So you got to reel that back in. And it really helps to do that, I've found.
So
And a
so
lot of my female clients.
pay attention, all you ladies out there that are
hmm
in the corporate world that are
hmm
trying to deal with all kinds of people, but predominantly a male environment. Pay
Yeah,
attention to this.
that's right. I also do distance healing for that and BQH sessions combined.
Mhm.
So, the Beyond Quantum mixed with the Reiki has been very powerful for us, I have to say. And I think you two ladies got to experience that on different
Yes.
times, but yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and I loved that healing. You're the first one that had ever done that with me, and
I'm honored.
I loved it. I just loved it, and I learned a lot too. I learned
Aw,
about some things that I can incorporate in my sessions that
yes.
I thought were wonderful.
I love that. And same from you. I mean, you guys, the way, affirm throughout the session, that's impactful. And it's a lovely, it's a lovely quality the other practitioners can gain insight from.
Mhm.
So it's
Thank you.
inspiring. You're welcome. hmm
What are your typical what kind of people usually come to you for your Reiki services in particular? And What do you find it works best on? Like acute or chronic or headaches or, what's your opinion?
It's good for everything. And I haven't treated just one client. I've treated everything from animals, all the way to every background of person. I've done group sessions. I've done sessions at different little facilities in Gainesville that foster children that have been abused. It's called the Center of Hope and Healing. And so just, opening up that space during the holidays for anybody that needs to talk or whatever is good. And send in distance healing to them,
Yeah.
because if their higher self is open to it, just receiving it at a distance can sometimes be impactful for people with trauma,
Yes.
that may not understand it, but know that they need help, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody from that walk of life to the corporate field to people who work in retail and they're store managers to teenagers that have a lot of anxiety and can't even go out to work without having anxiety attacks sometimes. So like learning tools and techniques. I'm really hoping to work with some autistic children here in the near future. And so that's exciting for me. But really everybody, I've treated males, children, elderly. Sky's the limit, you guys. Yeah.
So
My plants, my washing machine,
Yeah.
my house, my
Yeah.
car.
it's all energy. I that was one of the very first concepts that I learned from Dolores Cannon
Hmm.
was that everything is energy.
Everything's energy. Yeah. My grandma said that. It's got a soul, it's energy.
Mhm. Everything.
Yeah.
So take us through what would be one of your most exciting stories to tell regarding a session that you had. And in addition to
Mhm.
the session itself, what were some of the benefits?
I did a birthday group session. And during that session, there was a mom, a daughter, her son, and then some other family members like the aunt. So it was a huge group of families. So it was a collective lineage right in the room.
Mhm, mhm.
And as I'm going from person to person, I start getting these little downloads like, she needs more magnesium. And I had never had this happen before like this. And it was like spirit actually saying,
Mhm.
she needs more magnesium. She needs to stop eating so much food and drink more water. She's constipated. And I mean, it was just really funny. I had
Wow.
never had these little things. And so I learned lessons earlier on in my early career with energy healing, not to just spout out everything that I get downloaded to me during a session. So
Yeah.
I like to ask, would you like to know what I got for you today? And they all kind of like looked at each other and laughed. But when I got to the mom, she had had some health problems and I did some extra work on her. And I was having to breathe out a lot of heat. I was feeling a lot of heat on her. And she said, that's funny. She said, the last practitioner that worked on me said the same exact thing and said I wasn't grounding myself and that I was a healer too. And that the heat was building up in her core chakras. And so it was causing her to have these, what appeared to be hot flashes, but it was just energy that was stuck that needed to move. So she said that once I like moved it and started blowing and was working with her middle chakras, that she could feel the energy release. And I felt the heat start moving through her body because I was having to like blow it down towards her feet. And I had her go outside and like stand in the grass. She was like, "You're the only other person except for him that said that." And he almost passed out because of that heat and the energy being so much. But it was very interesting. It was a lot of energy. It felt really good. The animals left the room probably 15 minutes into the session, but animals are
It's
very
probably
sensitive
just
to the energy and
too
they
much
know
for
when
them.
they've had enough. And so
Yeah,
they get up and they leave.
right.
Hmm. But
Yeah.
it was very good. There was just so much wonderful energy in the room and you could feel it. And you could see like the little orbs, like in the video that I left for them. It was very beautiful. Yeah. It was my favorite of the latter part of last year that I had as a group session.
Oh, well, I was just gonna say, you just kind of spurred a question, like how has all of this influenced you, like your health and well-being, doing all of this healing work for everybody else? It has to have some effect on you.
It's made me more conscientious of my needs and setting boundaries. I
Mm.
used to be a yes, yes, I could do this and overcommit, overcommit. So I've learned to reel it back, not overcommit myself, set boundaries, take care of myself, and know that it's okay that I need to take a day for myself. I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's important. And we all should do that as healers. If you wake up one day and you feel like you just need that time, take it because you're feeling that way for a reason.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good advice.
So,
Hmm.
can you talk a little bit about how you know that you are dealing with the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual all in
Hmm.
one?
Hmm. Yes. Because when you're calling on the life force energy, that is everything, right? The life force energy is what gives us our breath, our anime, our
Mm-hmm.
life. It's
Mm-hmm.
life source. So when you're calling on that universal source, it is all of those things. And so it does have the capacity to move and go where you need it. And you will have shifts. And it will continue to work on you for 72 hours after you have a session. And the energy will continue to move. You could be purging, you could be peeing a lot. You could get a small headache from the toxins moving out of your body. You should eat fresh foods and notice how your body feels and acknowledge that and not push emotions down because it could bring something to the surface that you didn't know was still there you needed to deal with. Right. And then journaling through that, journaling your dreams.
Journaling.
Yes.
It's really
Write it
important.
down. Spirit keeps telling me, write it down. And I think that that's good advice for all of us across
So,
the
Yeah.
board
why is journaling good advice?
because you can go back and you can reference. Like I started journaling a few years ago, you guys, and I dance a lot to release emotion. And I was dancing on close to Halloween this past year. And I pulled out my journal and I flipped it open and I flipped it open to a dream that I had in my big journal. It happened to be in the dream section. And it was a warning and a premonition in one dream that all I wrote was lots of emotion, couldn't breathe when I woke up. And it was an intuitive dream where it was letting me know that William was going to pass away and that some other things were going to happen, but it was preparing me for that. And so when I opened it to that, all of that came back and I was like, oh, light bulb. I should be going back and reading this more often. It was an epiphany and it was a realization that sometimes what you think you're just writing down is nonsense, but there,
Yeah.
it's so much deeper than that.
Yeah.
And so, like Elena, I know you guys have spoke with her and done the podcast with her. Her and her husband created the Soul Scribe. And in that, you can put your dream in and get an analysis of it. So I've kind of been doing that a little bit too when I have one that's really in depth. Like, I need more information on this. Higher self, let me see. Let me type this in.
And
But it's
I
good.
don't know about you, but if I dream, I have to, once I wake up, I have to write it down immediately because
Or
if
it's
I try
gone.
to tell a family member or something like that a half hour, an hour later, I can't even remember.
Do you
Yeah.
eat first before you tell a family member?
I'm sorry, do I what?
Do you eat first before you tell a family member, or
No,
you just
I fast during the day, so I don't.
okay? All
Yeah,
right.
why? Should I?
It's an old wives' tale, like you should always nibble something before you tell your dream.
Oh, really? Is that from our Southern background, Angie?
It is
I
my
thought so.
grandmother to be exact.
I thought so. Yep. I felt it. I could feel it.
Indeed. Did you eat something before you tell me that?
My grandmother used to say to me, she gave me some great advice when I first got married, and she said, "Honey, you must remember this. If you and your husband are quarreling, stop and ask yourself two things. Have
Mhm.
you eaten? And number two, is the house a mess?"
Right. She is so correct.
She was, because the messy house meant chaos.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the disorder would affect us. And of
Right.
course, we all know how grumpy we can get when we need nutrition.
Yes.
So
Yes. Hangry. I get hangry.
yeah, I do too.
Mhm.
Yeah, but that was true advice. Really.
Good
Great.
advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love grandmother's advice.
I know.
Oh,
Right.
bring it on. It still rings true today.
Okay, let's go back a little bit to the family that you were dealing with, because
Mhm, mhm.
that's a fascinating study. So when you talked to them, I'm assuming that you followed up with them later
Yes,
on. And so
yes.
what did they tell you they felt in terms of the effects of what you had done? Because that was a pretty phenomenal session.
It was really amazing. I mean, all of them experienced it in different ways. All of them got benefits in different ways. And the daughter and mother seem to be bonding a little bit better than they were before. The communication's a bit better than they were before. They're not yelling at each other. It's more about like understanding. So that was beautiful.
Yeah.
And then the son just having a little more self-confidence and feeling better in his skin, right? When you're a young adult and you're maturing, you feel kind of wonky. Like, who am I? I'm growing into this person I don't even know when I look in the mirror. So having having grace on yourself, right? And
Yeah.
just self-love,
Yeah.
understanding that that's important no matter what your age.
So
Loving yourself first.
what if somebody that's young or somebody who's just doesn't believe in it gets Reiki? Do they still get the effects of it?
His girlfriend was that way. She was kind of sitting off to the side with her eyes kind of wide at first. And then one of the other granddaughters was kind of sitting off to the side until I had treated everyone else. She came and got in the circle and she said, "Do you mind? Would you do it on me?" And I was like, "Sure." I think that people are afraid. They hear they're like, "Reiki, is that a sandwich? Like, what is that? You know what I mean? Or what are you
Yeah.
doing? Is that of the devil?" That freaks me out, especially people that are very committed with their religious beliefs or they were brought up in a certain capacity. And it's to no fault of their own, it's just from lack of understanding.
Yeah.
But if you could go online and educate yourself, go on YouTube. I even have some posted on social media of my sessions and me doing sessions on people, and you can see what it is. And you can go on and maybe get a distance healing for yourself and understand and feel that it's nothing bad, that it's really that universal energy, that God source energy, that we're
Ano-
calling upon, that's
Another
healing.
another saying from the South from my grandmother,
Mhm.
and I've said it
Mhm.
before on this podcast, is you're always down on what you're not up on.
That's right. Yes. And what you're ignorant to or not familiar with can be scary sometimes,
It can be
especially
scary.
if you were brought up in a closed off environment or if you were sheltered or if you were told things of this capacity are wrong and you shouldn't do that and it's, not healthy for you. It's like not in line with beliefs. How could anything that is of light and love be bad for you at
Yeah.
the end of the day?
I
So
And
mean,
if
how
we are all of light and love, how dare us throw a stone at someone else's glass house,
right.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Like,
because
yeah.
if you are in the love, then you won't shame anyone else. You will show them love
Mhm.
yeah.
because love is known by the actions it prompts.
Well, and you will be happy for that individual that they are utilizing their healing skills and
Yeah,
their love, and
yeah,
happy for the people who are receiving the healing. So when we're
yeah.
talking about a session, Angie, how long do they usually go? And also, do you find that you have to do sometimes multiple treatments, or can it happen all in one? Or
It's different for everybody. Everybody is at a different spot in their life, at a different place in their life. Me personally, I like to get regular Reiki sessions. I like the healing energy. I like to get the debris out of my auric field. And I also do, the tuning fork combing to fluff out my auric field. I recommend it for anybody as regular maintenance, just to get the muck off of you. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like a car wash for your energetic body. You're getting the muck off your energetic body like you do
Right.
your car. So if
Hmm.
you take care of your car, hopefully you take care of your body that well, right?
Right. Right.
And taking regular Epsom salt baths with magnesium, is really good for you. Um,
I've
Castor
heard that.
oil is
I've
really
heard
good
that.
for you.
I want to
Yeah.
ask you a quick question about a bath. Like I, for example, have wanted to do an Epsom salt bath before,
Yeah.
to sort of pull out the toxins. That's my understanding of one of the
Yes.
properties. Uh,
Uh-huh.
can you do it if you have dry skin?
Yes, you
'Cause-
can.
Okay, good. Because I live in Colorado.
You can add coconut oil, almond oil, or something like that to the bath water, and then rinse, do a cold water rinse, standing up out of the salt once you're done, and visualize all the negativity going down with that cool water, and then slather your body with oil, coconut oil, almond oil, or something in that capacity.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that sounds delicious.
I slathered on and I put essential oil in it. Lavender is my go-to because it resonates with a violet ray
Hmm.
and it brings in such nice sleep. You just sleep like a baby.
Lavender is one of my favorite too. My father was French, so I have actually been in France and seen the fields of lavender. And my
I
God, they're just
love,
so
love lavender.
beautiful.
They are. I
Yeah.
have thieves going right now,
Oh,
just
do
because
you?
it's cold season. And so it keeps you, it's antibacterial, all the things. It's actually what they use, a combination of the different ones for the bubonic plague to keep it from
Wow.
spreading. Yeah. But you can get it at
Wow.
Young Living has one called Thieves, and it's the collection of all of those oils. So during this season, it's always going in a
Oh
diffuser.
my God, I'll have to look that up for sure.
I'll send you the link for it. It's good.
I think that people should know like what your training is and how do you learn, as you mentioned, about going into the quantum field and doing distance Reiki? Can you train somebody to do that? People
Yes.
that may be interested in learning this in the future
Yes.
may be interested in that. And also, can you do it on yourself?
Absolutely. Please do it on yourself. I do it on myself every day. I do it on the dogs. I do it on the house. I do it on my cars. I put myself in the triangle of light and then I send Reiki
Yeah.
to everything. And
Yeah.
I send it to future events. I send it to places I'm going. I send it to Zoom meetings in my future.
Mhm.
I'm sending Reiki everywhere. So anybody can do it. You can do it on yourself. Just visualize the light. And once you get certified and you learn the Japanese symbols to open up the portal of light and you get attuned to the energy, because once you get an attunement for level one, you get certain Reiki symbols that you can use to call upon the light. You're like a vessel, right? So it's flowing through you so that you can freely share that with others and attune them to that same frequency. So it's like you're attuning a piano on the energetic level for yourself, right?
I love
And
that
then you get,
analogy.
yeah. And then when you get to level two, you get a different attunement. And then when you get to the level three, master level, you get the master attunement, right? And so then your body gets adjusted. And I realized after I got my master attunement to be a Reiki master and be able to train and teach other people, it took me a little while. That energy started flowing differently for me. I started purging. I started eating more salads. I started eating things that I didn't eat before that were better for me, being more cognizant of my espresso and coffee intake as much as I love it. Now substitute tea in replace of that. So just little things along the way. And I continue to try to improve my daily habits. I'm human, right? We're all human.
Right.
But if you can just be acknowledging it and be more aware of it, that is what has brought me on a daily basis. And every time I hold that sacred space for others, I benefit as well. I
Yeah.
mean, I do. Spirit's like, here you go. And it just feels so nice. It's
Well,
like a healing for yourself along with your clients.
and I've said this
Yeah.
before too. Uh, One of the benefits of being a light worker and helping others to heal themselves is that you get to heal yourself while you're in the moment.
Yes.
And that's great, which is one of the
It is.
reasons why I have to sometimes go and just sort of
Mm-hmm.
be alone for a while after my sessions,
Yeah.
because there's a way that I have to rebalance myself and just feel the healing that's taking place. I heard you and Jennifer talking a little bit about the fact that you use tuning forks and
Yes.
sound, and I have a huge background in music. It's very
Yes.
important to me. So
Yes.
tell me, how do you use the tuning forks, and how do they help boost the effects of the Reiki?
So there's solfeggio frequencies. And whenever you strike,
So solfeggio frequencies are
yeah,
tones, right? It's different
they're
tonalities.
tones,
Yeah.
right? And each one resonates with a different chakra. And each chakra resonates with a color, which resonates with a musical note. And so when you go through the whole line of the solfeggio notes, and so you start with the smallest note and you work from the feet and you go up, that's pretty powerful because you're working with all the chakras, you're moving all the color, you're moving all the sound, and you're combing that debris slowly. And so once you get attuned to the frequency of the tones, you can hear it as you're combing someone's, biofield. You can hear it change, and you can hear where energy is stuck, and you can feel stickiness. So you know that you should concentrate there. And sometimes they'll resonate with one certain note. And I found that a lot of times they benefit from all of it. When I first started doing this, I got so sleepy, Julianne. I mean, so I advise if anybody's starting with tuning forks to start out slowly, work up tolerance to it because it's very powerful. And you can also use it with crystals to send it directly into the muscles for pain relief. I use it for inflammation to treat clients, for pain, for headaches, for, breaking down trauma,
So
house cleansings.
this for a layman's understanding,
Hmm.
to simplify things, when you are working with Jennifer, you can chime in too, because I know that you also use tuning forks. You have quite a set. Um,
Hmm.
when you are using them in a session, and like you talked about, when an area you could feel it getting a little sticky.
Hmm.
So, what are some of the tuning forks responses to different ailments throughout the body? Does that make sense? Does that question
It
make sense?
it does totally make sense. So I've had instances where I will use maybe say a quartz crystal, and I will send the resonance through wherever they're having the stickiness, especially if it's near like a muscle or if it's near an organ. And I've had instances where I put it on there and they've needed it so badly that it stopped immediately. And I have to zing it again and it'll get really cold and frosty. Like, because the
The
coldness,
crystal
from
does? The
the
crystal does,
crystal
or
does
the
and the tuning fork both. The tuning
oh
fork
my
frosted up.
gosh,
And you know how
wow.
like a somebody that plays instruments, their hands get really cold because they're moving that energy. It's
Hmm.
like that. So it's like someone that is working with music gets the cool chill in their hands. It's from the resonance. But when it stops like that, you need to keep doing it until the song plays longer and
Yeah.
they're getting it deeper into the tissue and the muscles to release the trauma that whatever that is holding on to in there. Hmm.
Hmm.
So
Gosh,
it's pretty powerful.
that is
Yeah.
really powerful.
Hmm.
Yes.
That's
And then you
amazing.
add that with a few Reiki symbols or some Egyptian symbols and zip them up in a, tornado of purple light. You're going to heal like a champ
So
in some capacity.
do you work with other practitioners doing any of this kind of work with the
I
tuning
do. A
forks or
lot
the
of my
Reiki?
clients, honestly, these days are other practitioners. So I
Oh,
like to say these days I'm holding space for other healers. So I'm a healer of healers right now, and that feels really good.
I mean,
well,
I kind of meant like, are you doing it in conjunction? Like, I used to do Reiki with my best friend who was an acupuncturist,
Yes.
and it would just amplify the needle's work. For
Yes.
example,
Yes. So whenever we're doing group sessions, say QHHT sessions in person or the BQH sessions, I will do Reiki if I feel intuitively that they need it. And sometimes even after clients have said, "Oh, I could feel like extra hands on my head. So it was like their angelic team was helping facilitate that energy and moving it. So
Yeah.
that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that collective energy there. Hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. I had one client say, oh, she resonated with the blue ray. And I was like, oh, that's so beautiful because that's a healing ray. So
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, they could feel the energy coming at them as a blue ray. Yeah.
That's cool.
Uh-huh.
What are some of the misconceptions that you run into that you'd
People
like
just
to?
not understanding what Reiki is in general, right? Or just never hearing of it, or like, where did that come from? Basically, it's a Japanese technique that was used for relaxation. So when you're in a state of relaxation, you're more open to healing and you're more open to receiving energy flow through you, right?
What if somebody comes to you and says, I am so completely stressed out. I have so much anxiety. There's no way I'm going to be able to open up to this, but we'll try. What do you say to
I would say
somebody like
great. Like the first step is trying and being open to even trying and doing something for yourself and putting yourself first, right? Because we all tend to put our families first, our work first, or whatever first. So putting yourself first and taking care of yourself so you can take care of other people. That first step is impactful. That's what leads you down the road to healing
Yeah.
yourself and
Yeah.
being a better person each day.
Yes.
Mhm.
Do you find that people know about Reiki very much, or is it they're like,
It's getting
what?
more widespread. A lot of people in the South, I'm going to say, aren't very familiar with it in some of the smaller towns. They're like, what is that? I don't know. Is that of the devil? Is that okay? Can we do that? I'm like, well, it's God's energy. So how can it be wrong? Right? We're just calling down, like, say, that Holy Spirit energy. So it's like something they understand, right? Putting it in
Yeah.
terms they understand. We're just calling on the Holy Spirit to shine you up. Hmm.
Yes.
And then when they experience it and have had such a relaxing session, they're like, wow, I don't know why I waited so long. This was better than a massage, right? Especially when you do like the tuning forks with it, it really is
Yeah.
pretty powerful. So,
Yeah.
say
Yes.
I came to you and I
yeah.
said, Angie, I am on a spiritual journey right now, and I'm
Mhm.
feeling a little blocked to it. I know
Mhm.
I'm supposed to embark on this journey, but I'm having trouble uh, executing or staying on the path. What would you do for me in terms of your Reiki and your tuning forks and
I would
crystals?
I would definitely probably, get a little more information, kind of see where you're coming from, what led you to this journey, what shifts you're trying to make, what has changed in your life recently. Have you gone through anything? Because all those things affect you and your spiritual balance and your spiritual body and your energy field. So kind of getting a little bit of a background and then doing, you know, a little prayer. I open with a prayer of some sort or an intention. Speaking with them, setting an intention, maybe setting some daily affirmations, teaching them how to infuse their water so that they can do that for themselves when they set intentions, and being more mindful, journaling to see how they're feeling so they're not burying any of those feelings that they're working through, and so that they can work through that in real time and look back 3 months later and go, wow, look how far I've come, and have many little celebratory, events for yourself in
Right.
silence of how far you've come and really celebrate that,
It's a
right?
great
And
idea.
give yourself grace, teach people grace, and then
Yeah.
give them a little energetic tune up, right? Give them some Reiki energy, maybe some Edgar Casey, whatever I feel like they need intuitively. And then give them a meditation that they can do to help them on
Yeah.
their journey to be more present and mindful of how powerful that silence, even if it's just for 2 minutes in the morning and 2 minutes in the evening, can be.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just happen to know that you connect with elementals.
Yes.
Um, do you use your Reiki and tuning forks when
So
you're outside with them?
for those
I
who,
do.
excuse me, but for those of you who don't know what elementals are, we're talking about fairies and elves,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
Did I leave anything out?
Well, there's brownies.
Okay, brownies.
Yes, you gotta leave milk for them and they protect your home. There's the little gnomes and the little trolls. There's the elves, elves and trolls are different. And
Mhm.
then people don't really realize it, but the cats, when they go off into the woods, they're guarding the portals that the
Oh,
spiritual little creatures go through and travel through. So
wow.
if your cat ever disappears, just guard in a portal. Don't be alarmed.
Okay.
SoulScribe AI is an advanced searchable directory just for holistic health and healing practitioners that offers a full spectrum of support. The directory leads to SEO-friendly individual landing pages where your new customer can contact you directly. This offers a huge savings in both time and money for those who don't have a website. Then, make yourself known with the Quantum Explorer Collective, an ecosystem of social media platforms where you engage with potential clients and even promote your own practice. If you need help with developing your digital presence, check out our course. We'll walk you through creating this critical foundation for you to grow and shine. Let us know when you're ready, and we'll film a professional interview and connect you with podcasts. We invest in you by advertising the directory and highlighting your work. You'll even learn how to use AI tools to automate much of your tasks and create stunning videos. Sign up today.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah, but I call the fairies into my garden. I use the tuning forks for my plants.
So
Yeah.
the elementals really like the work.
They do.
Yeah,
They
I
do
bet.
like it.
I
And they
bet.
like to be encased in light too.
Yeah.
So if you leave, you go on vacation, just envisioning light around your home, your
Yeah.
property, your car, all those things. They appreciate that.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And they're like, plant more flowers.
Mm. So so it's fine if you don't want to share this, Angie, but I thought it was fascinating that you had a session with Jennifer.
Mhm.
And didn't something pretty special come up in terms of a past life for you in elementals? Did I remember that correctly?
So I had a regression where I was a fairy in a past life. I was a fairy princess in a past life, about to go through coronation. I didn't want to accept the responsibility, so I kept running away with my dragonflies to go play in the woods. And, you know, it came back up in my session with Jennifer, and it was beautiful. So I got to go back there and revisit that. But sometimes I feel like I do that in the spiritual realm anyway when I'm sleeping, and I can attune to that energy just from being familiar with the frequency. And so me and glitter are like this. Okay.
I noticed. I noticed.
So
Yep.
I like to spread that glitter energy everywhere I go. It can be a tad too much for some people. So I've had to learn to like reel that energy in to meet people where they are so I don't scare them with my joy.
Well, because again, as we said in the beginning, everything is energy.
Yes.
And sometimes if you enter a room, your energy may be vibrating at a super high level, and everybody in that room may not be there the same place that you are.
No.
And sometimes that energy is difficult. It's almost feels like a bombardment if you're
Okay.
not, if your
So
vibration
apparently
is
my
not,
energy is very loud, you guys. So when I leave a room, it gets much
yeah,
quieter.
yeah.
I've been told when I'm not at home, it's crickets. When I leave a room, it's crickets. When I come back in, it's like, wow, wow, wow. It's so loud.
Well, some people can fly and some people wish they could fly.
Right?
There you go.
Exactly.
Well
I'm
said,
just always
Jennifer.
in the ether,
Yes.
trying to keep my feet on the ground. So I have to force myself to ground. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
what are the, we're getting way off task and I'm loving it, by the way. uh, what can you tell us? What are the jobs and the purposes of the elementals in our forests, and where else do they live besides the forests?
You know what? They really love humans, but sometimes they're scared of humans because humans are scared of them. And they are keepers of nature. They're keepers of the trees, of the animals, of the flowers. They love them and they really do sing the circle of life. They really sing that.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
The flowers sing it, not the elementals, the flowers and the trees and the plants. They sing songs and they have different musical frequencies. And I was very shocked. I was watching the Science Channel the other day and I saw them talking about this. And I was blown away because I could hear that as a fairy in my regression. And as I was about to eat a flower, it was singing to me, the circle of life. And she was giggling and it was a daisy, like flower cookie. And I was eating it and she was smiling at me. And they all were singing different songs and they all had different frequencies, like the ferns, the moss, like everything, even the acorns. So to see that on the Science Channel as an effort, affirming this, I was like,
So
mind
I have to
blown.
tell you, I also was watching the Science Channel the other day.
Did you see it?
Well, no, I saw something different, but to your point, this is going to
Yeah.
help. This is going to help to support what you just said from more of a scientific
Yes.
viewpoint. So scientists are able to go out and put a particular type of microphone on plants and flowers that picks up the vibration and the tonality that the energy
Yes.
that the flower itself is giving off.
Yes.
And so you can hear that, in fact, they are singing.
They are.
It
They
is
are.
so beautiful. They did it to a cactus.
Yes.
They did it to a rose. They did it to a daisy. They did it to just some wildflowers. They did it
Yeah.
to a tree. Trees
And
are amazing.
if they love you, they empathize with you. If you're going through something, so are they. Like if you get sick, they get a little sick. They're like,
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys ever notice that about your plants in the house,
Yeah.
it really happens.
Yeah.
So,
And
And
oh,
I'll just finish this and then Jennifer, hold that thought, please. They were also able to, through the tonality and vibrations, they were able to measure the energy of all of the trees in a forest speaking to one another to understand better how they communicate. And in fact,
yes,
they do.
yes,
The entire forest communicates with one another.
yes.
All
And the
the elements.
elementals love them. They love them. They talk to them.
yeah.
It's just one collective. It's like a group of consciousness, right? And we are part of that consciousness because we're all interwoven.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
tapping into that's beautiful. We can go out and sit in the forest and tap into that energy at any time.
And
Beautiful.
an amazing thing is, so I really am into mushrooms. I
Me
have been
too.
into mushrooms for years and years and years. There's a whole communication system underneath the ground, and the
Yes.
leaders of that are the mushrooms, and they have recorded the mushrooms, and they are the facilitators of the high frequency
Yes.
communication that goes on under the ground. And
Yes.
when there's like a tree that's sick, they bring the mushrooms in and they heal
Yes.
the tree, and they help the other tree bring its roots over to give it nutrition. And so
And
they're
they
kind of
create
like,
their own storms. Like they have little thunderstorms so that the fairies can shower underneath them.
aren't they? They're pretty amazing, and they are kind of like the brain of the planet.
Yes, they are. They're
So
amazing.
they're very
Have you
amazing.
ever microdosed shrooms? Cut this out, Julianne.
So
Let's just say I don't have enough fingers or toes to
Right.
count.
Exactly. It's very beautiful to do that and just traipse through the forest. Love
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah, that's the
Uh-huh.
best place to be for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
gonna have a session, not a session, but a podcast at some point on microdosing and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also saw on the Science Channel, there was a documentary. I think Netflix carried it for a while, and I think it's called Fungi. I can't
Yes.
remember.
I saw it.
Did you see that? Oh, it
Yes.
is amazing. There is like an intelligence within each mushroom.
Yes.
Yeah. They're getting some really innovative to humans,
Right.
um, you know, imaging abilities.
Yeah.
And recording abilities. They can pick
Yeah.
up stuff that they couldn't even 5 years ago.
Right.
So it's interesting on so many different levels, these people who have these lenses
Yeah. I
that
have a
can,
thermal camera on my iPad, so I could do the thermal imaging. And I'm like, what? It's like new on the new Pro. And I'm like, this is
That's
phenomenal. I
great.
get carried away with it.
How would you use that?
I use it to look at my plants. I use it to do photos of myself and just see like daily, like how the energy changes and maybe like where I've got a little stuck energy to like comb a little extra with my biofield there. So it's kind of nice.
So does it switch a color when, like if you find a part on your body that might be blocked,
Mhm.
how will that translate?
It'll look like a little mucky, like a little like brown or a little like
Oh,
dark.
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
and
And
you can see
even,
spirits too.
yes, yes, you can.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, I hope so because I am so tired of turning on my phone at nighttime, waking up and turning on my phone, just sure that I'm going to capture orbs at some point. And I wake up the next morning, it's like, oh, no orbs again.
Oh,
They're around. I can feel them. So
well,
I'm
when
like, I
I
know you
do
guys.
Reiki and I set up my camera, sometimes, especially if I do it over my bed, like after I make my bed, I'll do some Reiki and I could see them like,
Wow.
and it feels so good.
That's what I need.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I know they're there. I can feel them, but I
Mhm.
want to see them.
Yeah, you will. You will. You'll see them in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, Angie, once again, gosh,
This is so great. So
isn't this
much
fun?
fun.
You're
Yeah, a
a
blast.
delight. You're a delight. You really
Thanks.
are.
Y'all are too,
I hope you'll come and join us again.
for sure.
I
And
just think,
You and your little
Colorado has
fairy self.
my name is coming out there. I'm
yeah,
writing it down. Spirit, I wrote it down. We're manifesting
good, good.
it. Yeah.
So I want to thank you again for being on the show, and
Thanks for having me.
I'll put your contact information in the description box down below so that people
Perfect.
can find out more about you and they can
Yeah.
also book a session with you.
Perfect.
For those who are watching, please remember to like and to subscribe and put into the comments what type of healing modalities that you would like for us to cover on the show. Because remember, we are here for you. And we'll
Yes.
see you next time on Souls on Tap.